Well, it's finally November, folks, which can only mean one thing.
Toyotathon is on!
And that A24 has released another horror movie. This time around, it's a psychological horror thriller called Heretic, which stars Hugh Grant as a man that's been left alone in a secluded house to face off against an unspeakable horror: Mormon missionaries.
Are you interested in learning more about the Church of Jesus Christ?
No!
And that's what we're going to talk about today. Do you like pie?
You like pie?
Yeah.
Well, then I've got a movie made just for you, as we take a spoiler-free look at Heretic. So, Heretic is the story of two Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton, who are excited to be on their mission where they spend their days doing what Mormon missionaries do, like riding bikes, getting lots of cardio, and being very polite.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. Are you interested in learning about our Savior, Jesus Christ?
After a long day of doing the Lord's work, they end up at the home of Mr. Reed, a man who has requested missionaries to come to his home in the hopes that he could learn more about the Mormon faith. But it doesn't take long for Mr. Reed to begin acting strangely as he invites the girls into his house and offers them some homemade pie.
You like pie?
Yeah.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Now, you may be asking yourself, what's so strange about that? Well, has anyone ever been excited to see Mormons come to their house?
Okay, that's a good point.
Anyway, they take a look around and see that Mr. Reed is just a normal, everyday guy who loves his dog and enjoys scented candles. As they get to know him a bit better, the girls are excited to see that he's well versed in the Mormon church. However, this excitement quickly fades when they realize that the doors of the house are locked, and worst of all, there's no pie. As it turns out, all of this is an experiment to test the girls' faith, and they quickly realize that the only way they can escape is to beat Mr. Reed at his own game, by walking into his dark, cavernous basement and facing the horrors that await them. And when it's all said and done, the movie is actually pretty good, with a tight script that pushes the plot along effectively while still having strong character moments, as well as great performances from all the three lead actors, the standout of which is Hugh Grant. In regards to the script, the movie was written by Brian Woods and Scott Beck, the creative team who also directed the movie, and who have a few mainstream writing credits to their name, the most famous of which is A Quiet Place. And much like A Quiet Place, this movie excels in letting the audience get to know the characters in a very effective and efficient way. A prime example of this is the opening scene, a scene that I wish I could provide clips for, where Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes are just sitting on a bench talking. Through this conversation, we learn about who they are, how they feel about the church, and how they view their faith, as well as the personal dynamics between the two of them. The scene is only about 3 minutes long, but in that short amount of time, we learn everything we need to not only like the girls, but become invested in them as characters, something that most horror movies fail to achieve. However, while I do think the dialogue is strong, the plot of the movie leaves a bit to be desired. When you begin to consider the how and why in regards to Mr. Reed's motivations, the script starts to falter a bit, and the suspension of disbelief starts to fail. I found myself so engrossed in the dialogue that I was able to let that slide. But if you're a person who likes to get caught up in the details of a movie, then you're probably not going to like this movie as much as I do.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Of course, a good script doesn't really matter if the actors involved aren't up to the task of performing it. Luckily, in the case of The Heretic, the three leads, Chloe East, Sophie Thatcher, and Hugh Grant, all do a great job. Now, I've not seen any of Chloe East or Sophie Thatcher's work before this, so I was pleasantly surprised to see that they are very capable actors who seem to not only have a natural screen presence, but very good chemistry with one another. What really impressed me about their performances is how they chose to play scared, always trying their hardest to stay calm and collected while obviously being scared out of their minds. They also don't let the crippling fear affect their decision making like so many horror victims do. As we all know, the horror genre is plagued by characters who tend to throw out all logic and reason once the scary stuff starts to happen. It was kind of refreshing to see characters that are able to maintain their composure and make good decisions while at the same time being so scared that they want to scream and run away, which of course brings brings me to Hugh Grant, who I believe is giving one of his strongest performances. He's able to seamlessly play the charming, affable British man that we all know very well by now, as well as the sinister apostle of a mysterious religion that I can't mention because I don't want to spoil it. Throughout the movie, his character debates the girls on different aspects of their religion, and it's through subtle glances, eye movements, and clever details in his performance we're able to see the delight that Mr. Reed gets in making the girls question their faith by delivering a series of monologues that are essentially sermons. The choices that he's made for this character are very captivating, and I found myself really engaged with what he was doing for the entire movie. However, once again, the only issue I have here is with the script, which is not to say that the dialogue is bad. The monologues are just so elaborate that they might come across as contrived. But again, I was having such a good time listening to what was being said that I really didn't mind. So, at the end of the day, would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would. Overall, despite its flaws, it's a well-written, well-acted psychological thriller. It offers some great performances, has a very good score, and at less than 2 hours long, is very economical with its runtime. It's one of the rare new movie recommendations that I've been able to give all year, so give it a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Finally, a film that exposes the true horror of scented candles.